Hello. You may be asking yourself, what is a Super Bowl? Well, the Super Bowl is the culmination of the end of the National Football League season. It is the championship game to which the two best teams in the league play each other to determine who is the best. And I am going to review each and every single game. So, the Super Bowl, as you can see, is a luxurious time of the year for the National Football League. It's all about the press, the media, the exposure, the pageantry, and the general interest in to see who will become the next champion of the league. And as you can see, there's been many over the years. But it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always as blown up as it is today. And we're going to take a look at the first Super Bowl. The year was 1967, and this was the first Super Bowl game. And funny enough, it wasn't even called the Super Bowl yet. It was just the NFL versus AFL championship game. It was before the league merger even happened. And as you can see, a lot of aspects were the same. There still were the passionate fans, the pregame warm-ups, the media attention, but it just wasn't at the grander scale that you see today. But nonetheless, this was the most important game of the year. So how did we get here? How did each team from either side get to this game? What did they do? Who contributed to get them to this grand stage of the season? What did it take for either side, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers, to reach the first of many championship games? Firstly, we'll be taking a look at the 1966-67 Kansas City Chiefs. These Kansas City Chiefs made their way to the Super Bowl by having the number one ranked offense in the AFL, scoring 448 points, and also boasting the number two defense in the AFL, only allowing 276 points and causing 33 interceptions on the defensive side. They were headed by studs, absolute ballers and Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers. On the defensive side, they were headed by Jerry Mays, Buck Buchanan, Bobby Bell, Cheryl Hedrick, E.J. Holub, and safety Johnny Robinson, who had 10 interceptions. And on the offense, they had Ed Budd, Jim Tyrer, Otis Taylor, Curtis McClinton, and Len Dawson, who tossed 26 touchdowns that season. Now it's time to take a look at the eventual world champion, the 1966 Green Bay Packers. The 1966 Green Bay Packers didn't necessarily have the best offense coming into the championship game, but what they did have is the best defense. Their defense ranked number one in the NFL, only allowing 163 points with 28 interceptions. This defense was headed by Willie Davis, Henry Jordan, Dave Robinson, Ray Nitschke, Herb Adderley, and safety Willie Wood. This defense would go on to be one of the main reasons why the Packers would do what they did to the Chiefs in this Super Bowl, but it also wouldn't be without the efforts from the offense of guys like Bob Skrinsky, Forrest Gregg, Elijah Pitts, Jim Taylor, who combined for the season for over 1,000 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns and almost 800 receiving yards with 5 total receiving touchdowns, and headed by the league MVP at the time, quarterback Bart Starr, who boasted a season of 156 completions of 251 attempts for 2,257 yards, 14 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, and 21 rushes for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Now, when you take a look at the amount of touchdowns that he threw compared to Len Dawson, you would think that Len Dawson's offense would fare a lot better considering their success with the point totals. Their point differentials are different because this offense ranked 4th in their league with only 335 points scored, and that is 113 points less than what the Chiefs would score during their season. But the main difference, I believe, in this game, along with a lot of instances in football, is the Packers had by far the better defense. But we will see what happened momentarily. So now we must analyze the game and ask ourselves my favorite question. What happened? I could be the funny guy and just go right to the basics and say, well, the Packers were just straight up the better team and kicked the crap out of the Chiefs. But we're not going to go that easy route. This Super Bowl would start off as a stalemate. The Green Bay Packers struggled to get moving as the Kansas City defensive front read everything they were doing like a book. Bart Starr would struggle to get anything going as the Kansas City pass rush had him in shambles. Just simply overwhelming him from side to side. He had nowhere to go, nowhere to run, no time to throw. Following another sack on the drive, the Green Bay Packers would punt, giving Kansas City their first shot at offense. But, such as the other, the Kansas City Chiefs would also struggle on offense. They would try to run. They would try quick passes to the outside, which would work only so much. They would even try to go back inside on the run game, to no avail. Dawson would try to roll from side to side to try to connect on passes towards the sideline, but the coverage and the pass rush was so good that they weren't able to connect on either side. Finally, after throwing an incomplete pass over the middle, the Kansas City Chiefs would punt the ball back to the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay would try again with the run game, to less success than the previous time. It wasn't until league MVP Bart Starr started throwing the ball to where the Green Bay Packers would start to move the ball down the field effectively. He would connect on a series of passes, inching their way down the field into Kansas City territory to set up for an opening score. Once Bart Starr started passing the ball effectively, it wouldn't take the Green Bay Packers long to find their way into the end zone for the game's first score. And this would become a recurring theme for the rest of the afternoon, as Bart Starr would connect with his favorite wide receiver Max McGee for a 37-yard touchdown pass, after a one-handed grab over the middle that would be remembered by Green Bay fans for the rest of time. Following the extra point, Green Bay would take a 7-0 lead over Kansas City, and it would be up to Len Dawson for his team to come back. Dawson would have to scramble from the vicious Green Bay front that was constantly breathing down his neck this game. He would have to try to set up the run, throw passes quick outside. Before he knew it, the Green Bay defense was already in his face. Doing what Kansas City would do best, that being the play-action pass, Dawson would connect down the field to try to move the chains to get into scoring position. Running back / fullback Curtis McClinton would try his very best this afternoon to find holes and create yardage up the field, but this Green Bay front would not let him have any that easily. They would simply swarm the run game, as if they knew it was happening before it happened. Len Dawson was simply struggling to try to make passes connect, as he couldn't find many receivers open or make any throws hit. Finally, after connecting over the middle, Kansas City would have to settle for a field goal. But unfortunately for Kansas City, they were unable to connect as the kick would go wide left, leaving them without any points to show for that drive. On the ensuing Green Bay drive, they would not be able to come up with much as they were forced to punt rather quickly. Luckily enough for Kansas City, they had another chance to go and tie up this ballgame. Soon on the ensuing drive, Len Dawson would roll right, trying to find his receiver down the field to only throw back across his body and find Curtis McClinton, who would do his very best to try to make something of this broken play. Dawson would then connect on the longest play for Kansas City in the entire game, a 31-yard pass to set them up at the Green Bay 7 for a 1st and goal. Following this large play, it wouldn't take Kansas City long to find the end zone for their first time.
Keeps to the ball, rolls out to the right, he's got a man clear, touchdown!
On a play-action pass where Len Dawson would roll to his left, he would find his running back, Curtis McClinton, wide open in the end zone, but he also had a choice, as another wide receiver was open right behind him. But he went with the easy and surefire route and hit McClinton for their first and only touchdown of this afternoon. Following the extra point, Kansas City and Green Bay would be all tied up at 7. On the ensuing drive, a gigantic play was wiped away from what would have been a rather large touchdown pass to only get called back for an illegal formation on offense, which would set the Green Bay Packers up at 3rd and somewhat long, but leave it up to Bart Starr to make the connection for them to have the first down, and also throw many more passes on this drive to get themselves all the way down into Kansas City territory within a blink of an eye.
Thomas Smith to the right. From the 14, Jim Taylor starts around the left side. Sets back inside the 25. Slow! On 14 yards out. And Taylor is hit by Hurston at the line of scrimmage.
Just like that, within a blink of an eye, the Green Bay Packers were able to reclaim the lead at 14-7 after a 14-yard touchdown run by Jim Taylor, now giving the ball back to Kansas City with only a few minutes to go before halftime. On this drive, Len Dawson would have to take over and show why he was able to throw 26 touchdowns, throw as many yards as he did, and move the Chiefs all the way down the field to try to set up another score to keep up with Green Bay. A large example of moving this ball was their key play, the play-action pass, as he fires over the middle and connects with another rather large gain. Dawson, trying to make quick work of this Green Bay defense, connected on several passes as they move all the way down into field goal range.
Mercer kicks, and this one is good. On a 31-yard field goal. Kansas City claws to within 4 points.
So by halftime, it seemed to be a fairly close game, with Kansas City only outgaining Green Bay by 17 yards. As you can see, the passing and rushing totals, this game was kind of a neck-and-neck race towards the finish line at the half. Now next we'll be talking about turning points. What is a turning point? Well, a turning point is the point in the game where one team seems to have the upper hand over the other, and there is no sign of turning back. And this turning point of this game happened almost immediately out of the half. Coming out of the half, Green Bay would kick off to Kansas City, and Kansas City would set up for a drive where they would hope to either take the lead or at least gain a field goal to follow by just 1 point. And almost immediately, Len Dawson would try to take the drive over into his hands, to where he would try to be the one to make the plays, as the run game still wasn't going anywhere. But on one fateful play, it would change the tide of the game for the rest of the afternoon.
Dawson being rushed and down the sidelines comes Willie Wood. Only one man can get him up the 10 and drags him down to the 4-yard line. A big break.
Feel I belong in the
This fateful play would change the tide of the game for the entire rest of the second half, as the Green Bay pass rush just blows through the Kansas City offensive line, and in a bad play, Len Dawson just tries to get it to his outside receiver, but where Willie Wood would hop the route and take it all the way down to the 4 to set up an eventual Green Bay score.
Setbacks with Dale wide to the left. That is Pitts, touchdown.
Elijah Pitts would have his first of his 2 touchdowns on the day, as the Green Bay offensive line made a hole big enough to drive a Mack truck through for him to walk in the end zone and put Green Bay up 21-10. Following the interception, the Kansas City Chiefs would struggle from here on out for the rest of the game to get anything going, as the Green Bay defense sniffed out just about everything they had to throw at them. They would try short passes and run plays, but to no avail. Green Bay was in full lockdown mode and had this game within grasp. To reinstall hope in Kansas City's game plan, they would quickly get the ball back from Green Bay. But unfortunately, just like many of their previous drives, there was nothing to be found. The play action was simply not working anymore. Green Bay had it read absolutely flawlessly from a defensive standpoint every single time. Len Dawson would find himself in duress for the rest of the afternoon. From this point, it wouldn't take Green Bay much to move the ball down the field, but Kansas City would do everything they can to try to stop them, and eventually frustrations would arise. A big run to the left side would open up a scoring opportunity for Green Bay.
The handoff, looks, has time, goes in the end zone, off one hand, and it's a touchdown for the Green Bay Packers. And again, the pass off of the play action with Bart Starr first faking the running play to one of his running backs.
Kansas City would find themselves down 28-10 before they even knew what happened. At the start of the fourth quarter, Kansas City was desperate. They tried everything they could to move the ball down the field, but nothing was working. Green Bay's coverage was reading their passes as if they knew the play off the play sheet itself. Dawson was forced to run, pressure constantly in his face, throwing the ball into coverage and luckily not being intercepted. Green Bay would start to find little luck on the run game as they would start to pick up tiny chunks to move the ball forward and eat away at the clock. But perhaps Green Bay got a little too cocky, as on a play-action pass, Bart Starr took a shot down the left side of the field, to which it was intercepted, as it would give Len Dawson another shot to try to make things happen. Even after remarkable plays such as those, you could tell the body language of the Kansas City Chiefs were that of a loser. Len Dawson would try his absolute best to make anything happen, but the Green Bay front was just not going to let it happen. As a matter of fact, Len Dawson's final set of passes would all be incomplete. The Green Bay defense was relentless. There was simply nothing that Kansas City could do. Len Dawson's final attempt would be batted down by a defensive lineman dropping back to cover a screen pass. Kansas City would punt, and for the rest of the day they would move on with their backup quarterback. As Green Bay started their next drive, they looked to push the ball down the field aggressively, as Bart Starr would find his receivers yet again and connect on several passes, getting his team all the way down into Kansas City territory. Green Bay would then run the ball at Kansas City 3 straight times inside the red zone. Jim Taylor and Elijah Pitts would split carries as they did all season down the red zone before the final blow was dealt.
And the Pitts slides back and goes into the end zone, going off his own left side.
Elijah Pitts would have his second touchdown of the day, and Green Bay would kick the extra point to extend the lead to 35-10. And now it's up to Kansas City's backups to play the rest of this game. Backup quarterback Pete Beathard would struggle against the Green Bay defense just as Len Dawson did. He would only complete 1 of his 7 pass attempts. From here on, the game was over. Kansas City would then punt and give the ball back to Green Bay and their backups to where they would run the clock out, and the clock would strike 0 with the final score of 35-10, and Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers becoming the very first Super Bowl champions. So let's do my now favorite thing. Let's get to the numbers. Passing yards. Bart Starr completed 16 passes of 23 attempts for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, where Len Dawson completed 16 passes of 27 attempts for 211 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. On the ground, Jim Taylor and Elijah Pitts combined for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns, as Kansas City's entire offense only mustered up 72 yards. The Kansas City defense, however, boasted 3 sacks and a takeaway via an interception, along with Green Bay having 6 total sacks and 1 takeaway via an interception. The final score of this one would be 35-10 and a blowout for the first ever Super Bowl game. Vince Lombardi would be immortalized, and as we all know now, the trophy that is awarded to each winner every year is now called the Lombardi Trophy, named after the winningest coach in the earliest stages of this game. I just want to take a second to thank everybody for watching this video. If you want to like this, please do. It helps me out a lot, more than you know. Leave a comment and subscribe. There's going to be way more Super Bowl reviews coming. The next one is going to be Super Bowl 37, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Oakland Raiders. Thanks, guys. See you next time.